Today's podcast is brought to you by Whataburger. The deliciousness of Whataburger must be tasted to be understood. It's an emotional journey you must make at least once in your life and check off your bucket list. My favorite thing is everything. When I go to Whataburger, I make it a point to order one of everything on the menu and then 2 Whata chicken sandwiches because I want to be healthy. Even your grandma has crowned Whataburger the king, and she even eats there without telling you. Enjoy a delicious Whataburger today. And stay tuned. We'll be announcing how you can win Whataburger for a year next week. Now down to business. Today I'm joined by our tamed Australian golf pro, Richard Guzzo. Some say that he thinks Gene Sarazen invented the sandwich. And if he felt like it, he could hack into Hillary Clinton's email server with his Callaway Mac Daddy wedge. Rich, how are you?
I'm doing good, Chris. And have you seen that Mac Daddy wedge?
I have. It's got like a big old, I don't know what this trailing, what does that do for you after you've already hit the ball?
Well, I think it's designed for Phil, so when he does those flop shots, he's got grooves at
like
the top edge.
How deep is he going that he needs that?
Yeah.
The ball's already gone by the time that part of the club even gets there. Who knows? I don't know.
Maybe he's a Republican and he's trying to hack the email. Who knows?
He could be.
Odd. Heck, it's not secure email, so it's not.
I mean, she was using Gmail, right?
Probably. No, that's a little too high.
Just send it to my Gmail account.
No, I bet you she's
no big deal.
She's probably using Hotmail.
Yeah, the good old Hotmail. God, that was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's always funny to see people who still use it.
I just think like business people that use the Gmail thing, I don't get it.
I don't either, especially
your business not doing well, or you're not planning on sticking around.
Yeah, I think a domain costs what, $10 a year, and you can get hosting for a couple of bucks a month, and you can get your own business email through that.
Practically free.
Yeah. I never understood that either, especially when people who advertise.
So, Rich, we're getting some really good reviews on the podcast, and I just wanted to read one to you. We got 3 stars on iTunes, and if you haven't reviewed our podcast, we would love it if you would do that for us.
Yeah.
To figure out how to get to iTunes. I don't know how to find it. I just typed in Golf Aggressive Podcast iTunes, and it took me there, and I saw this gem on here. And here it is. Has potential if they stop the fart noises. There's some good info in these podcasts. Unfortunately, you have to endure grown men making fart noises continuously to harass each other and hear them giggling about it like 12-year-olds. There is potential for this to be a good golf podcast, but I quit listening due to the childish fart noises used throughout most episodes. Clean up the future episodes. No one wants to hear that. Then I'll come back. Cheers.
That's a compliment that he called us grown men.
I know.
Should that right there, that should be 5 stars.
We got 3. That's better than 2.
Yeah. He probably joined us on one of the episodes after you got one of that deal. So he doesn't know the context of the actual device and how it ties in with golf, especially in Oklahoma. So
yeah. Well, sometimes you have bad gas and it's just got to come out.
That too. Yeah. Well, I'm almost at a year without Starbucks. So, I'm clean. I'm good.
I actually went a year without Starbucks, and I was looking at my bank account. I had like $600 more.
Yeah.
Just from the savings.
Easy. So, but yeah, this is our first podcast of the year. So I'm actually kind of glad that we've got back in the saddle for this.
Yeah, we've got a full schedule and a full lineup now. This week, we're going to talk about getting your mind ready. I know I went out the other day after not having hit for a couple of weeks, had some bad weather and just was busy, wasn't able to get out and do much. And it's amazing like how your mind just kind of, I wouldn't say that it forgets, it just becomes unfamiliar with the golf game, the golf swing. And so that's going to be today's focus. We're going to work on that, and we have like a I wouldn't say that we invented one, but we have like like a golf practice workout now. We've designed it pretty similar to how we design our workouts, where you'll have sets and reps and things like that. But we'll get into that later, and we'll actually give you the ability to download one and put it to use for yourself, because we want you to test this for us and let us know how this works for you. So last month we launched the revised Flat Belly Challenge. We had some brand new workouts. I've done a lot of learning in the past year on new workout things that we can do, and read a lot of science and attended a lot of conferences and things like that. So those are in the new Flat Belly Challenge. And if you're a single digit blueprint member, you can get those at Birdie Brigade. So what else we got here, Rich? So on the workouts, I'm really proud of how those turned out. We got a new place to video these, and the feedback's been pretty good. And so far, we've had Paul Rock, who's one of our diehards. He's been with us a couple of years now, and he almost ripped his thumb off. Well, not from our workouts, but he got careless.
Yeah, let's clear that up.
One iron.
Yeah.
Didn't he? Didn't he get hurt using your one iron?
Yeah, the trusty blade.
Yeah. I heard you once held a golf shop hostage with your one iron.
It's easy to do.
Is that true?
Yeah.
So, but seriously, we're getting some great feedback from Bob Nixon, Larry Horry, Scott Bergson, Bill Whitmore, Leroy Tan. And I got to tell you, Leroy Tan, his posts on the Facebook Mastermind cracked me up.
Yeah.
That dude's funny.
Yeah. Take a guess who's leading in weight loss. He's also got the highest percentage. So we'll just do actual pounds and what number he's lost. He's past day 49. So he's he's at 42. This is at day 42. So he's probably got another week or two left. So take a guess who it is, how much he's lost in 42 days.
I want to say Bob Nixon, 12 pounds.
That's correct on who it is, and you're off by 6.
How much has he lost so far?
He's lost 8. No, he's lost 18. You're off by 6.
18 pounds.
Yeah. So he's at 9.33.
Really good.
So we got Larry at 7 pounds. Greg's lost 9. Matthew Erickson's lost 8, and Paul's at 1. But Paul lost a lot last year, and so he
didn't really have a whole lot to lose. Yeah. I mean, when he sent me his pictures, I was like,
yeah.
All right, so now we're at like 12% body fat.
Yeah.
We're in 6-pack land.
So that's the current leaderboard, and I'm going to post that up later tonight. Just so
who are the top 2 again?
So we got Bob Nixon at 18 pounds, so it's 9.33%. And then we've also got Greg Reynolds, who lost 9 pounds, is at 4.29. So yeah, so you're good too. So
that's pretty good. And
yeah,
we've only been doing this 6 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple at 42, there's a couple at 49. So
yeah, I mean, we designed this. There's 9 weeks total in there. If you start with the beginner workouts, you'll do 3 weeks on the beginner, 3 week on the intermediate, and then 3 weeks on the advanced. So, I mean, there's potential for 9 weeks in there if you want to do it, if you need it.
And that was one of the changes or the upgrades that we did from last year to this year is the progression. So you start at a different level, and it didn't give you the ability to do one or the other. So we held back on giving you the advanced workouts because it benefited doing an intermediate, even the beginner one, and then progressing up. So I think that's worked out well.
Because I didn't want to throw out like the advanced stuff. Because the intermediates are pretty difficult. I mean, if you do what it asks you to do, you're going to be sweating. You're going to be having a difficult time. And I didn't want to throw in the advanced stuff until people had at least 3 weeks with those workouts.
Yeah, that change seemed to have worked well, and I think it's also, being reflected on the leaderboard as well.
I got new patches. I don't know if you can see that, Rich.
Yeah.
If you're listening audio-wise, we'll put these online. So if you're in the Birdie Brigade, you're going to be getting one of these if we have your mailing address, your proper mailing address. Otherwise, we'll be sending it to your billing address. They'll probably come back to us because you're probably using fake billing address. We have some people that are like undercover. They don't use their real names. They don't have Facebook. Their Facebooks are fake names. And I find that interesting. What do you think that is, Rich?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think they're like? Do you think like President Obama could be in the group and we don't even know it?
Well, I know that works. I know that a lot of people do that with Twitter. I've not seen it so often with Facebook, but I do see it a lot on Twitter, where people like to just set up an alias Twitter account just so they can follow a particular genre. It could be a particular event. It could be particular athletes, celebrities on the side, so that and it's easier to do. I think Facebook makes it a little bit more difficult to set up an account being an alias, but yeah, I mean, that's probably the purpose. But at the same time, I don't know the benefits or the reason behind it. But it could be a dodgy past. Who knows? I don't know. So
James Bond.
But at the same time, if that's what it takes for you to be active in our coaching community, I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah, we don't care.
Yeah. So if you do have
like real posts and real,
well, that too, but also if it is an alias setup, let us know, because we only approve those in the group who are active Birdie Brigade members. So if
we need to know, we need to be able to match your name up.
Yeah,
so you have to like send us a message or something and let us know.
Yeah, because if the name doesn't reflect what we have on our system for the Birdie Brigade, then we're not going to accept you into the group. So drop us an email, and then we can make sure that you actually do get approved and added to the group. We have no problems if it's an alias. We just want to make sure that it's tied to an account, and we'll let you in. So.
Yeah, the Facebook Mastermind is going better than I had expected. It's fantastic. There's a lot of camaraderie in there and support, and some really, really good feedback that's helping us to improve everything. And didn't we have somebody, they posted up that they played golf with Donald Trump?
Yeah, there was a photo of that over in Aberdeen. So it was pretty cool.
Where is Aberdeen? Is that in South Dakota?
Scotland. Dog.
Yeah, that's is that the golf course that they're putting the windmills on or something? Some kind of controversy going on over there?
I think it's the golf course that had controversy, whether it be from the land that he purchased to there was a particular owner that didn't want to sell out. But I think it's all being resolved. I think it's been a very good boost for that area.
That golf course, those pictures are
phenomenal. Yeah.
I mean, it's I don't even know what to say about it. It just looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean, political stuff aside, I mean, what he's done for golf has been, I think it's been fantastic. Now, it's on.
It has been. I mean, we went to Doral. That place, I mean, you could just say they were in the middle of renovations. But
you could see what's being renovated to what hadn't. Yeah,
it was horrible before.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there's people that are in those facilities or courses or clubs or country clubs that have gone through the transition period and probably have bad things to say about him. But on the outside stuff, I mean, and on the forward thinking or in the future, I think it's been a positive. I think he saved a lot of country clubs. And while it may have kicked out some of the members because they may not afford the new fees, it's still done a positive thing for our industry.
Yeah, I mean, we need all kinds of different golf courses. We need high-end golf courses. We need middle, and we need low. We need all of them. And they all kind of help each other out. I will say that I think he went overboard on the brass. I mean, the cup and the flag were made of brass. And
Yeah, he
green,
does
he
like
was
that.
like trying to install some granite on the green. It's just crazy.
Yeah. No,
No, I mean seriously, like there's so much brass in that place, I couldn't believe it. And that statue, we should put a picture of that statue on this video. That
yeah,
thing was
they'll be there in a few
ridiculous.
weeks, I think. So they're playing. They just switched to the Florida swing, so they'll be there in a few weeks.
So was that fountain? Was that an original part of Doral, or did he add that?
I'm pretty sure he added that. That was one of his signature ones. But at the same time, I think he's actually taken some of those down, where a big fountain was a part of like usually the last hole.
You remember that one I'm talking about, right off the putting green?
Yeah, I do.
That was the biggest putting green I think I've ever been on in my life.
I could spend hours on that putting green.
You remember that jackass that came? I mean, we have this giant putting green, and he comes right up to us.
Yeah,
and starts putting to our hole.
Yeah,
like,
I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that, as long as I just
a 25,000 square foot putting green.
I always found it funny. You're practicing, warming up your putting for a tournament. There's 6 holes on the putting green, and you've got 180 guys that are going to go out on a shotgun start, and you've got this one person that's on this particular hole that doesn't like you to putt to that hole. And I'm like, we're all going to putt to the hole. I mean, we're doubling up on the hole. And so, I've always found that funny. Now, if it's a big green like where we're at, that big green, it was odd. It's a personality trait that I thought was very odd, because it wasn't a tournament. You had 20 holes on a huge green. So, yeah. So we'll get to see that.
That's where you taught me that one game where you putt. We stand at 2 different holes and we putt until somebody makes it. I don't even know if we've covered that in our putting games.
I actually do that with my daughter. So we typically pick a shorter hole, and we're at one end or the other. And whoever makes it gets a point, and you flip sides. And so, again, whoever makes it gets another point, and you flip sides again. But you've got 2 balls in play, and you just go back and forth and back and forth. And so the purpose for me was to make it fun for my daughter. But from a standpoint of, what do I benefit from it? So it's a little fast pace. So when you're on the golf course and you find yourself in a situation where you need to pick up your pace, or you're being pushed or rushed, it's
I agree. I'm slow.
Yeah, so
everything's slow. You do everything fast, and you were getting out like 2 times as many putts, and you're a better putter than me. It was challenging.
But so it's important to understand, like, when you're in a situation where things start to pick up on pace, that you don't lose what it takes to actually hit the shot to the best of your ability. So that's what I take out of it. I still have fun, and I love the fact that my daughter has, she enjoys it as well. So that's pretty much the only one.
So let's talk about the Masters. Why did she not do the driving thing this year? Because I was counting on that.
Yeah, she's pretty much dived into tennis now. So
that's her thing, is tennis.
Yeah, and she loves it still, and she's good at it. So I'm okay with that. So
do they have a tennis competition that's similar?
I don't believe so. No, not that would put him into like one of those big events.
Because I think it started with the NFL with their punt, pass, kick thing, where you can actually win a trip to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, the drive, chip, and putt challenge, I'd like it to incorporate a little bit more than just what they do, but the initiative, getting the kids into the game at a very low entry, like meaning they don't need to know everything about golf. Just focus on hitting a drive, a putt, and a chip, and that's it. They don't need to know rules. They don't need to know pace of play, all that stuff. It's just the basic getting the kid into golf. It's been fantastic. And then tied in with being affiliated with the Masters. It's pretty good. So
well, guess what? We're gonna have our own drive, chip, and putt challenge coming up. And I haven't decided what we're gonna call it yet. Maybe the Rust Buster Challenge, but it's gonna cover those 3 things. And we'll have prizes, and it's basically a preseason warm-up. So by the time you finish this, you're going to be ready for the golf season and ready to start working on your game and making some improvements. But this will knock the rust off and get you going. And I don't know that if we can steal their name, Rich, would that be cool? Drive, pit. What is it? Drive, putt, and chip?
Drive, chip, and putt, I think it's called. And we'll just do it. We'll reverse it.
We'll just do putt, chip, drive. Old man challenge.
Yeah.
So let's talk about warming up the mind for the season and getting basically coming out of hibernation and getting your butt to the driving range, because it's really difficult, especially if you are like Mika. He's in a very cold weather country. And he said the other day he went to the indoor range and he was just struggling with chip shots. And he was amazed at how much his brain has kind of turned off. And I mean, he won our putting or chipping, one of those contests.
He's usually up there in the top 5.
Well, I thought he won our putting one, the No More 3 Putts challenge. Because we sent him a putter, like a Scotty Cameron, and we had to order it from the UK, and they shipped it in to where he was, and they shipped him the wrong one. But he eventually, I think, got the right one.
Yeah. I mean, this is a tough one for me because I don't like to live in a place where I have to shut down for the winter. But the same principles apply whether I take 2 or 3 days off or a week, a month, a couple, half a year, depending on where you live. So, but the same things apply. It's when we get back out there, our expectations are still where they were at the end of the season, which is typically at a high.
It could be very frustrating because if you go out there and you're hitting a shank, or you're hitting it fat, it can be it almost feels like starting over.
Yeah. So that's the first thing that I always go into after a break is just lower my expectations. Use the first session back as just basically a dust off. Don't really expect anything from it, but just loosening up and getting your body used to swinging the golf club again. So that's usually what I focus on when someone's taking a break and getting back out there. Typically, it depends on how long your break has been, but it usually doesn't take, 2 or 3 sessions to really get it back.
And that's what I've got here. I've got 10 things that just loose suggestions that you can use. And that's one of the things in here is when it's warm enough, and we're finding out a lot of our guys back east, I mean, they're going crazy trying to get outside. They want to play golf. And, when it's warm enough, I suggest you just go to the range. You just go to the putting green. No expectations. Don't have a plan. Just mess around. Get comfortable with the equipment again. And, I don't know how many times you think that takes, Rich.
Usually, really 1 or 2. I mean, it doesn't take much to really get back into it. Now, getting back to that level that you were at before the season end, that might be another week or 2. But typically it doesn't take that long. Now, I think what we should also look at, and that, based on your suggestions, is the note-taking deal. So that, from one practice session to another, you may forget what you've done yesterday in your session that you do in a couple of days. So writing some notes down, excuse me, on what you're doing, some quick swing thoughts, what position may feel better than the other, or what you did differently today that's, clicking. Write those down so that before you go into that session, you look at your notes and be like, okay, this is what I've done. Go straight to it. Because that's what basically speeds up the process of getting back to where you're at, instead of having to relearn things that you've done over the course of the year.
So here are some notes I took that worked really well for me at the end of last season. So I actually got the date and time on here. September 26, 2015 at 4 p.m. which is usually when I get to the practice range after the school run. Smooth, slow takeaway, flat wrist, ass against chair, slot elbow, fantastic follow through with feeling of staying behind ball and arms flowing through to a nice finish. These are my notes.
Yeah.
And I don't know what.
Look at that and be like, you've got this picture of how things were before your season ended. And then
I totally forgot like these notes until I looked at them, and I'm like, oh, okay. And guess what happened? I started.
And that's the thing. You have a great memory. You have a great memory. So for me, I mean, what I worked on this morning, if I was at the driving range, I'd forget tomorrow easily. But you have a good memory, and it's still something that you look at it and be like, I'm refreshed. I remember okay, that's what I was working on, and I can go into it. I think
most golfers have ADD. I mean, we're chasing new golf clubs or new golf bags or new patches, all kinds of stuff. And it's really hard to stay focused. So with the notes for me, it's all about what worked. And if it's working, I should stick with it. I shouldn't change because I was hitting the ball really good at the end of last year. So if I can get back to that point, my improvement this season is going to be a ton better. So we encourage you, take notes. And even if you suck, your range session sucks, write down, what were you feeling? Like what kind of uncomfortable thoughts did you have? Because chances are if you have these doubts in your mind and you put them on paper, you can go home and find a drill that may address that fear that you have. Because what I found, and it was pretty interesting to me, because I don't do this when the regular season starts, but I was addressing the ball. I said, hello, ball. How are you? So I stood up to the ball, and in my mind, I was saying, you're standing too close to the ball. But I didn't change. It's like, I'm just going to hit this damn ball. Mm-hmm. I'm not listening to what I'm saying. But then I wrote it down. I'm like, okay, well, why are you being so retarded that you can't back up from the ball? What's wrong with you?
Yeah. So, and that's why there's been a few golfers in the coaching group where I've we've talked about the pre-shot routine and to get it on film, because once you've got that routine to where you really like it and it works well for you, get it on film, because that sort of it may change just over a course of time, and so you could look back and be like, okay, that's what I did, and I was hitting it at the best right then.
Yeah, absolutely.
So getting it on film, writing it down, and there's no reason why golfers still can't be doing the grease in the groove. It's all pretty much indoor stuff.
Yeah, we've got that on here. That's number 3.
Yeah.
So greasing the groove, when you want to get ready for the season, you're a month out. We've found by asking, most people in the Northeast are saying April 1st is the time when they can get out to the golf course. The golf courses start to open up. The weather starts to get better. It may not be great, but it's a heck of a lot better than the snow. There's no snow anymore. So,
did you hear how many tornadoes there were yesterday across the U.S.?
I don't even watch the news.
It was like 52 tornadoes yesterday across the U.S.
What happened?
And you're in Oklahoma. You didn't even get any.
We had an earthquake.
Yeah, well, that. Thank your oil.
I don't understand why are we getting? We never had earthquakes growing up, and now we have earthquakes.
Yeah, I never had one when I was there.
Dallas.
Yeah, we haven't had one in San Antonio, so, but I'm sure it's going to happen. Yeah,
they're really weird. Some of them they make sounds. Yeah. Some of them are just like. We had one. I think it was a 5.2. And it went on for like 20 seconds. I'm just sitting here in my chair, just moving around.
Yeah.
And
we're going to take a podcast in the back of your office. There is going to be a crack.
Be broken. I got earthquake insurance now. There's more earthquakes here than in California. And all the times that we've been to California, I've never felt one earthquake. Have you?
No. I've only felt 2 earthquakes, and they were in Japan. Very weird, because your office chair goes back and forth. I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden the chair goes side to side, and I was like, "Man, that is weird." What? I didn't know what it was. I've never been in one. Didn't know they had them in Japan at the time.
Oh, they get big ones over there.
Yeah, it gets to the golf course, and all the guys are talking about, "Hey, did you feel that tornado last night?" And I was like, "Ah, that's what that was." And so, yeah, craziest thing.
Well, back to the GTG. If the season is coming up, you got a month, then you need to start practicing your grip. Would be the first GTG that I would do. And if you're not familiar with what GTG is, it's one of our acronyms. It's called Greasing the Groove, and it comes from the Russian Spetsnaz, Special Forces, things that they would do physically over and over again, randomly throughout a day, to where they could master something, such as a pull-up or a push-up or a squat, something like that, to where it becomes just so easy for them. They could almost do unlimited ones if they had to. We train the brain the same way. We train neural pathways. So when you grip your club, let's say you're practicing your golf grip, and you haven't done it in 3 months, it feels awkward. It doesn't feel like at the end of the season where it was just you just grabbed it, you didn't even think about it. And the GTG can also be used to fix things along the way. So your golf grip may not be a good golf grip, but with the GTG, you can improve it, because what you're going to do is you're going to grip the club, you're going to check it, and then you're just going to walk away. You're going to come back to it maybe 10 minutes later and do it again. So what you're doing, you're training your brain to become familiar with doing this repetitive action perfectly. You can also, if you don't do it right, train yourself to do something poorly. So it's really important to have a PGA pro or a golf pro or somebody look at your golf grip and make sure that that's a good grip for you. And of course, ball flight too. You should watch that. But that's just a kind of a rough overview of the Greasing the Groove. But I would say start with the grip for a week, then move to your setup. Setting up to a driver, setting up to a wedge, setting up to a mid-iron, setting up to your putter, setting up for your chipping. You can have a variety of clubs, and Rich is famous for this. I mean, I've been to his house a million times, and you'll walk in a room, and in the corner is a golf club just tucked away. And he'll just grab the golf club and he starts putting. He's always putting in the house. How many putters do you have stashed about?
There's one for every little corner of the house.
Well, you're moving, so you may not have as many out as
I've had to clean up. So all my flags behind me have gone. So yeah. But no, actually, to be honest, the Greasing the Groove and making a grip change is best suited for when you actually not playing golf.
Yeah, for this time of year, it's like perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer you to do a grip change at home without hitting any balls. Just grabbing a club and be like, okay, I need to have my club here. I need to put this position here, and just freely take a couple of swings.
Yeah.
Then go to the golf course. Yeah, and hit some balls that way.
I mean, we promote a neutral grip because we're going to get into modules later to where we're going to be working the ball left and right, high and low, and we're going to do some of that through grip changes. So when you're setting up, try to get a neutral grip, use a mirror, have a buddy, go to your club. If the pro is there, just be like, hey, man, do you have like 30 seconds to look at my golf grip? And he's going to do that for free. He's going to help you out. And then once you get that feedback, then that's when you implement the Greasing the Groove, and you do this repetitively, and then you're going to have a perfect golf grip. There's no excuse why anybody, minus if you're missing a hand or fingers, why you can't have a perfect golf grip. Everybody should be able to obtain that. And further, the setup and alignment, everybody should be able to do that too.
grip, setup, alignment. It's your foundation for everything. So if one of those is off, you're going to be fighting to get back to wherever you need to be correctly. So the off season is probably the perfect time for that.
Yeah, and swing changes, greasing the groove is perfect for that. And it doesn't matter what swing you use. You could use, I don't know, what's the Mo Norman swing? What is that?
The Mo Norman swing?
Well, I mean, what's that one that they had a long time ago? Because I've seen square to square method.
Yeah, you got stack and tilt.
Stack and tilt, Mo Norman. Are those all the same thing?
No, they're all different.
And then like the David Ledbetter has an A swing, which I've heard really good things about.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're all.
We don't give a shit what you use.
Yeah.
We don't care. That's not what we do. We don't teach you how to swing a club. We teach you how to score better. So, the greasing the groove can be used with any of those methods to build a repetitive movement. So, I mean, just moving ahead, I would say grip and then set up an alignment for your driver, a mid iron, a short iron, and your putter and chipping. And just do that randomly over the course of 3 to 4 weeks. And then follow that up with like some indoor putting, indoor chipping, and things like that. So, Richie, you have anything else on kind of getting the brain warmed up?
No, my biggest thing is the expectation. That's pretty much where it's at for me, especially when taking any breaks. But if you were to, depends on how cold have you gone on this break. So if it comes down to you don't touch your clubs whatsoever for 3 months, then expectations need to be very low at first. But typically what we see with that is if someone shuts down completely in the winter, meaning 3-4 months done, not going to touch your clubs, the progression to get better takes a lot longer and often doesn't even get to that level that they're looking at. And it could be, I'm trying to break 80.
Well, it could take them 3 months to get back to where they were at the end of the season.
That's typically what happens. So to crack a barrier, there is no ability. You can't shut down for that long period of time. So doing the grease in the groove, putting some setups in your house to where you can do some putting and chipping. That's what's going to take to break that barrier. Now, how keen and invested you are to do that, then that's really an individual thing. But it needs to be done if you want to hit that barrier. Otherwise, it's basically going to be the same thing. Every year, you're going to go through shutting it down for the winter. I'm going to spend the first month or two getting my game back to where I think it was at. And then I'm going to be fighting for the next couple of months before the season ends to try and break that barrier. And it often doesn't happen. So,
yeah, I mean, what we're trying to say here is we're not talking about going to the driving range. We're talking about the period of time when you are not able to go to the driving range or go play because the weather is bad. We're talking about getting your brain ready so when you actually go to the golf course, you're going to be way ahead of the game. Your setup and alignment, your grip, it's all going to be there. And in fact, your chipping and putting should be pretty good by then if you're doing some indoor work.
Yeah.
We're not talking a lot of time, 3 weeks maybe.
Yeah, not long at all.
And I think you could basically shave off 3 months of recovery time that's going to take to get back to where you were. And, a week or two of actually hitting live balls, maybe you are back to where you were at the end of last year because you did the right things. And not only that, you did them better. So your setup, grip, alignment, and your takeaway are all better than they were at the end of last season. You're going to play better this coming year. So, I mean, that's what we're really talking about here. 3 weeks before you can go out and start hitting balls. These are the things that we would do to get ready. So our next podcast will cover actually when it is warm enough, how do you speed up that process? How do you get your game back even quicker? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to push you along faster so you get better faster. and your brain gets trained better. And we've got another major announcement here. Come up with a workout template for your practice sessions. And that's really, when I design the workouts, I'll have sets, supersets, reps, and all these different things built in. So what we've done is we've just taken our challenges and kind of wrapped them into one big workout thing for practice. So let's say Rich and I were talking last week, and he said right now his weakness are short irons. Are we talking like 150 yards and in, right?
No, it's irons, like in general. I wouldn't
Just
say it's
every iron.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's just short irons. I would actually say it was more like 8 iron to 3 iron.
Okay. So what we've done is with this new practice session workout, the focus would then be on these the 3 to 8 iron for Rich. So his practice session would focus around that primarily, and then be followed up by secondary weaknesses. And then you gauge it by what's my next weakness, and then what's my next weakness after that. And then that could be your practice session. And we'll have an example so you can download it. And you may not know what some of it is, the greasing the grooves and drills and things like that, because we just kind of make up our own drills and names and things like that. But you'll be able to download that and take that to the range. And we had some pretty good feedback. Sorry, I think I got the hiccups, Rich. Wait a second. For that guy that's listening now,
the static on your audio is taking care of it, so we're good. Yeah, the static has sounded like it the whole show, so so he's already tuned out, so we're good.
Has he? All right. Is my audio bad, Rich?
There's some static, but it's okay. So yeah, this practice session is basically it's a little bit more intense, and this is just a first revision. So there will be some changes, whether we'll take some out, revise it. We just basically want to put together a more intense level for our elite golfers to when they go to the range. Now, each of the challenges that we have, the range sessions are more condensed, primarily focused because we could be focusing on one part of their game, but it's important that they touch on everything else as well. So our range sessions are limited to 20 to 30 minutes so that it gives you ample time to make sure if you're working on your red zone, like 100 yards and in, that you're not going to forget about your driver and your putting. So this particular practice session is going to focus on one particular area in the middle, but it's going to touch on warming up with the short irons, cooling down with your putting. So it's going to have a bit of everything in there with a primary focus on what you need to improve on. So it's a little bit more intense. It's not just a 20, 30-minute session. This is going to include a lot of what you should be doing to get better or into that elite category, whether it be you're trying to break 80 or you're trying to move from a 10 handicapper to a scratch handicap, or if you're going from a scratch golfer to a pro golfer. So so it's a little bit different. So I understand there's some feedback that may not warrant that, but at the same time, we're going to take all your feedback and make sure that we can refine it so that it is that next step that we want you golfers to work on.
And it is target and distance oriented, because the best golfers are the ones that know their distances and can hit those distances. Because let's be honest, if you can get the right distance and maybe you're hitting a little right or a little left, you're still putting for birdies.
Yeah, and that's the element with this practice schedule is there is what's the word for this? It's pressure testing. So it's just like you go out on the golf course and you want to hit at that flag. So this is taking that to the range and making sure that each of these has a target component to it. It's not just hitting to a random group of trees.
It's not swing changes, because there's a different
this isn't
swing changes. This is actually trying to score better through practice.
Yeah. This is not a. I need to swing. I need to take it to my club back to this particular setup. It's not a setup change. It's not an alignment change. This is practice only. There is right now in the current version, we do have some greasing the groove and drills, but the actual testing component of it is pressure testing. So it's not on, I'm going to just do a 10 to 10 swing, or I'm going to do a 3/4 swing. We're not focusing on that in the actual testing element of it.
Yeah. And, I think a lot of pros, when they do make swing changes, I think they still focus on targets. I mean, I don't think they just go out there and be like, oh, is my right elbow slotted? They want to see the result like instantly. So you can do your swing changes while you're doing the practice things, but when you get to the pressure test, like Rich said, focus on those and just really try to score, because we're keeping score on all these things.
Yeah, it should be where you focus primarily on the pre-shot routine, making sure that is consistent so that you can transfer what you're doing on the range to the course much easier. And
that's a big weakness. We find that like 90% of our students don't do it every time. And we're like, well, I hit the bad shot here. And then when we quiz them about it, I didn't do my pre-shot routine.
Yeah, and it's not just the pre-shot routine. I find a lot. What happens a lot is if they're working on a swing change, it should be done. I like to do it away from the ball and then go into the shot, not thinking of it too much, mostly like a muscle memory type drill. The problem I see a lot is that they're trying to manufacture this change during a shot. And so the results may come, but it takes a lot longer. If you were to just maybe step away from the ball, have a couple of practice swings, feeling that change. So say, for example, I'm trying to get the club that's more upright, a little bit laid off. So I don't want to be thinking about that over the ball. So behind the ball, I'm going to take a few practice swings, making sure I'm taking the club where I want, and then I will step into my pre-shot routine, doing it that way.
Basically just pre-programming the mind and then hoping the mind.
Yeah. So when you're over the ball and you've got too many things going on, chances are that you're not going to hit the shot or do the swing change that your desired outcome is going to happen. So that's the primary focus with this practice schedule, is to get back to target focus, just like you are on the golf course.
Yeah, and some of the suggestions we have are all based on time. So, I mean, when you see this, you're going to be able to take bits and pieces from it. Each of them is set up like a workout, like, okay, this is set 2, or this is set 3. You should always do set 1, which is your biggest weakness. Set 2 should be your second biggest weakness. Or, you want to just maintain some touch, so you're going to do set 3 and 4 in addition to set 1. You can pick and choose and build this how you want it to be. If you're serious about getting better, we're suggesting that you do the entire thing. This is what we give our elite golfers, is the full deal here. But I mean, you can do what suits you, and there's a rep count on there too. If you're short on time, you can shorten those. But as we all know, Tiger Woods is famous for saying, how many times do you have to do something repeatedly before it's mastered? It's 10,000 times, right? Or 10,000 hours. I forget. It's one of those.
Yeah, it could be like 3,000, 5,000 shots, or.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
But the rep count is going to help us get to that mastery, in addition to the greasing the groove things that we have. So, Rich, moving on from that, you have any gambling tips for us? Just say you're trying to hustle somebody.
We don't play for money. There's no gambling allowed at the Hyatt.
I believe you.
And I never slice it either.
Yeah, you're with Judge Schmel's group.
No, so
I got hit by a putter on the deck out there once at the Hyatt. I think it was a bad grip or something.
You probably deserved it. So you send me some poker chips, and we've added a few more to it. But so I've got these poker chips, and I think I'm not sure who sells them, but you type in poker chips golf or something like that. But
I think we should make our own too.
The ones that you got me were pretty good. So I've got another set from AJ, and they're not as in good quality. Like we dropped one and it cracked. So the ones that we got are really good. So so we have some bets going on our usual games.
Oh, speaking of poker chips, Rich, look at this from Whataburger.
Yeah, it's a bull market too. Can't get any more of those, so unfortunately. So
that's unbelievable right there.
Yeah. So, but the poker chips have a particular value on what we're doing on the golf course. So it could be one putt chip, birdie chip, a nearest the pin on par 3 chip. There's a wild chip. We use that for the closest to the hole in 3 on a par 5. So there's all these incentives to do better. Now we used to.
What happens if I make a birdie and nobody else makes a birdie on the first hole?
You get the birdie chip.
Okay, and then what happens after that?
So let's
say somebody else makes a birdie on the next hole.
They get the birdie chip. You give the birdie chip to them.
So I've lost it.
You've lost it. Now
I've been punished because I was better.
So we've modified the way we've played this game. It used to be if you hit a tree, which there's a tree chip, or if you hit it in the water or hit it in the sand, which all have individual chips, those were negatives. And you could set a dollar amount. We've kind of come to the conclusion $2 is actually pretty good per chip. So it used to be if you hit a tree, you got the tree chip, and you owed everyone else $2. And so that was one way we did it. We've actually gone to everything is a positive, meaning if you hit a tree, you hit it in the sand. If you hit it in the water, what are some other used to be negatives? Let me see. There's a 3-putt one. So if you did all these negatives, now if it's par or better and you've done that negative, you get the chip and it's a positive. So
if I hit a par 4 in one, if I drive the par 4 in one shot and a 3-putt, that's a positive?
That's a positive, yeah. So we've switched it. So if you hit a tree and make a par, you get the tree chip and it's a positive. Everything's a positive. And what that has done is, one, I like to play for money for the reason that it keeps us invested in the game. So you don't have that golfer that gives up on a hole. And
you still have those dumb guys that you have the bets hedged in your favor every week to where you win every single week.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's worked out pretty well with how we've got our current money game set up.
Well, how's your swing scope fund going?
Well, not good. the launch monitor fund. Yeah. No.
You were getting close to getting it. Did they change something that's affected your money making abilities there?
We don't have that many guys in our group anymore. So
Truan, does he still play?
Yeah, he still does.
And then AJ, obviously, he's out there right now.
No, he's not. So he wishes. It's actually really nice down here in San Antonio today. But so what the poker chips does, what putting a few dollars on the line does, it just keeps you invested in the game. And we had our current little money game structure. You could be, it pays out for birdies, pays out for nearest the pins, and it pays out for putts. So there's that ability to, if you've had a bad hole, to just pick up. And we don't like to see that. It's not something that I like to see, and it's not something we want them to do. So
at the end of the round,
poker chips,
take all that stuff into account, and then you put the poker chips on the table. This is how many that I have, and you get $2 for each one.
Yeah. So the poker chips has allowed the golfer to stay in the game. So they may be out of the hole, but if they can chip this in for par, and they'll get a cheap tree chip.
So he may not be the best on score, but he's going to have some pretty phenomenal shots during the round and maybe get a couple couple of chips.
Yeah, if we've got 4 guys in the group and you've got 5 chips, it adds up. So, but the underlying benefit that I like is it keeps us going during the round, so we don't quit. Because that's the thing about the U.S.
We're quitters.
Well, no. In Australia,
you're watching.
In Australia, when you play golf for your handicap, you have to play in a club event. And every golf club has club events, whether it be my home course back in Australia used to have a Tuesday tournament, a Thursday tournament.
Change that rule? Like you can't.
They're using the gym
now?
They're using but that's still.
Isn't that designed to do the same thing?
Not really, no, because they're not. I mean, I do mine online on my phone, so there's no. They've changed that. I think they've changed that rule, but that doesn't change the aspect of the club dynamic. So when you're in Australia, you have to play in a club event for your score to go into your handicap.
Yeah, that is a better way because that's like a legit. Because a lot of guys that don't like to play in those events.
So then they're not going to have a handicap. But they're also the guys that probably don't want to play in tournaments. So
maybe they'd have like an official handicap and then like an unofficial one.
Well, typically those golfers that want a handicap are going to be playing in events that are going to require them to play with other people. So if they're doing a social thing, they probably don't care about a handicap. So for yourself, you don't like to play in tournaments and money game stuff. So handicap's no purpose to you. It may be a bragging.
When I do play the money games, I win.
Because sandbagger.
But so the poker thing it's a pretty interesting way to make things fun, and even if you're not like a birdie machine, you can still make some money, is what you're saying, and it makes it more fun for the average guy that's playing against a scratch golfer like yourself.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing about golf and that's the whole handicap system. It allows me and you and anyone else to play together on an even playing field from a handicap standpoint. And that's the thing about with the poker chips. It allows other golfers in our group who may not have the strength to make birdies and a bit more money on that game to pick up on these other areas. So it's just finding the right balance. I really like what we got going. And it's not for everyone, but at the same time, I think playing for money or kind of strengthens your mind to when you do play in a tournament, you're in that pressure situation.
It definitely helps.
There's no crash.
Doubt. There's no doubt that it's going to help.
Yeah,
and think about also like gimme putts. Like when you're playing for money, there's not a lot of gimmies.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. So if we can create that situation, so say for example, you're playing in your club championships or you're playing in a professional event, and you've got that nervousness that you're like, well, how can I recreate that? Because it's the same thing. It's like trying to create the same situations on the golf course, but on the driving range. So how do I recreate that nervousness? And
I mean, that's what we're all about here.
If this putt's worth $100, something might, you might feel that jitteriness that you get when you're playing.
Billy Baru pulled that off too. The whole explosion thing on Caddy's Shack. I mean, what are the rules of that? Was that a legal explosion to cause that ball to go in? Does that count? Or
the ball going into the hole after you've putted it and it's hanging on the lip? There's I think it's 10 seconds, but there's a fine rule to that.
But wait a second. Like if I'm in the fairway and I hit a ball up there and it's hanging on the lip, if it falls in at 11 seconds, do I have to pull it back out and put it on the edge?
I don't know about that one because typically it's usually on a putt, but the rule does say that you have to take the normal time to get to the hole and then the counter starts. So maybe that's the same case if you're hitting like your 100-yard shot in and it's hanging on the lip. So it takes you the normal time to get there. So if you hit your wedge shot and then go to the porta potty, that's not normal.
Because so once I hit the green, 10 seconds.
I need to look that one up if it's from a longer distance. From on the putting green perspective, it's the the terms are you have to walk to the hole at your normal pace. Once you get to the hole, then the clock starts. You got 10 seconds. And then if it drops within that 10 seconds, it doesn't count as an additional shot. But off the green, I don't know how that works. So I'll have to look that up.
So Tiger Woods yesterday posted a video of his golf swing, and it looked pretty good, but it looked pretty different too.
Well, I think it was just, the whole media, saying that because a story came out earlier in the week that he had been set back a little bit from
they said he was bedridden, didn't it?
Well, that was prior. An article came out saying that he got hit with a setback and he's actually, not that far along to where he needs to be.
That golf swing looked pretty solid to me.
Yeah, so
I'll tell you.
So those reports were fake or false, and then they came out with the video. So
it's like anybody can say anything about Tiger Woods, and it's going to get attention.
Yeah, pretty much. That's why Brandel Chamberlain's on that case.
That guy, man. I don't even know how anybody can take that guy seriously.
He does his work. There's a lot of stuff when it comes to background info that he's on point.
But like his opinion is just crap.
That's the bit. I love the fact that a lot of the stuff that he does is based on fact and research. But unfortunately, when it comes to Tiger, it's a lot of opinion-based stuff that interjects and he won't admit it, but it's that hatred towards him. So
I don't even think it's a hatred. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows Tiger Woods is polarizing. And if you say something bad about Tiger Woods, there's so many Tiger fans, they're going to come after you.
Yeah.
And he knows this.
Oh, I mean, it's the whole dynamic.
He was busting on Rory the other day, and Rory fought back. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I mean, to say that exercise is bad for you is nuts.
I think
in any form or fashion. I'm sorry, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And Rory's not doing insane workouts. Those look like well-designed, well-written, well-programmed workouts. And to be honest, the stronger you are, the better it is that you're going to be able to protect yourself from the golf swing, because there's a lot of force on that downswing.
I think it's easier for us to say, look at the past generations. They weren't really big at working out, and look how long they lasted on the senior tour. It's easy for us to say that, but at the same time, look at the generation that we're in and the force and the increases of clubhead speed, the smash factor, the launch angles, changes of how we hit the ball have evolved. So the body of the 1960s and 70s probably wouldn't be able to withstand.
But I mean, look at Gary Player. He's still.
Yeah, but he's not hitting it at the clubhead speed.
He's not, but he's still playing golf, and he's almost 80 years old.
I'm just trying to say, is that it's easy for people to say, like Brandel. What he's getting at is that look at Tiger and all these injuries. It may be related to the workout system.
I don't think so. I think Tiger may be just injury prone. There's certain people out there. Like when I played football, I was like a tank.
No.
Nothing could take me down. And then friends they were out like 3 weeks here, 3 weeks there. But to me, it just was not injury prone. I never have been.
I think that today's golfer has to be conditioned in a fitness world to withstand the changes. I mean, just look at clubhead speeds.
There's something to be said about being able to decelerate the club, because when you're doing all this twisting and you have all that force coming in, it's pulling you around. You're going to have to be able to slow that rotation. Or you're going to have problems later on down the road.
Yeah. So I get what he's saying. I don't agree with it, but I get what he's saying. And I don't think he was saying that fitness in general, you shouldn't be doing it. I think he was just saying, be careful of what you're doing, because it may.
That goes without saying. You don't want to do crazy things. Obviously, you want to have a well-programmed workout. You don't want to be doing nutty things, but I don't know. I think he chooses Tiger. If it's not Tiger, it's somebody else. So Tiger's out of action. Guess what?
Yeah.
Who's he going after? What, the best golfer in the world? I mean, who's number one right now?
I think it's still Jordan, isn't it? Yeah.
Really, even after his 80 or whatever it was?
So he has one off week and everyone's jumping on his case.
Hey, he's the best golfer in the world and he's shooting 80. Come on, Rich. I think it's gone to his head.
No.
No, I love Jordan. I think he's fantastic for the game of golf. I almost wonder if he's like working on something because it's early in the season. Masters is coming up. I just wonder if he's trying to work on something to make something better.
I'm sure he is. He's constantly working on something.
Maybe that's the issue.
When he went overseas, he was doing that Mike Weir pre-shot, like taking the club to 9 o'clock deal. So he stopped doing that. But so yeah, we're golfers. We're always going to work on something. Yeah. So I mean, he's off week. So,
What about Phil? Phil's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Very consistent.
Yeah. I mean, I always like past champions at the Masters. I mean, I always pick Fred Couples. I mean, he's, so he'll always have a good chance
Fred's
out there.
Like his swing is just butter.
So the past champions always seem to do well at the Masters. So, and
an older golfer that I'm really impressed with?
Bernard.
Well, Bernard's impressive too, but Davis Love.
Yeah.
That golf swing is like...
He's still on the tour. He's past 50, hasn't he?
Yeah, he won a tournament last year. That golf swing is almost perfect.
Still hit a 300 plus too. So, I mean, there's no need for him to switch over to the senior tour. Bernard Langer, did you see him a couple of weeks ago in the Champions Tour event?
I didn't see it.
So he was one of my golfers. There was a couple. I didn't really care too much for what Adam Scott was going to do with the anchoring putter ban. I knew he could putt with a short putter. And
he did good though, coming back.
Yeah, there's two people that I was concerned about: Bernard Langer and Tim Clark. I haven't seen Tim Clark since the change, so I don't know what he's done. I saw some highlights on a new putter, maybe with a counterbalance type grip. But so Bernard kept the same putter, still got the long putter, and
he just moved it.
He just moved it out. Now, apparently, they're talking about it now. If the left arm, I think it's the left arm that he holds it, if that actually touches his body, even though the club doesn't, that's considered banned. So he has to be careful. It's a fine line. And
he's
and
a German, though. I'm sure he's already been through this.
What's that?
He's a German, though. He's already been through all of these.
And what's funny, he wins the event. So I absolutely love it.
I don't think anybody works as hard as Bernard.
Yeah, I don't agree with the anchoring ban. I don't think it makes it any easier. So for someone to just modify it slightly and still have the long putter and win the tournament, absolutely love it.
Okay, so let's talk about Freddie Couples, Phil Mickelson, Davis Love, and Bernard. They're all in shape. Brandel.
Yeah.
Calling Brandel out. And who's not on tour? Brandel.
Yeah, I mean that's been the way though. The most of the golfers are in shape that seem to tend to go long into their 60s on the Champions Tour, even 70. So that's the great thing about the sport. It's just walking. They're still walking, and they're
walking is so good for you. It's so underrated too.
Yeah,
and that's part of the flat belly challenge that we added in.
Yeah, the walking challenge, which has been fun. So
yeah, do you feel any better?
I like it. I like getting out, doing 20, 30 minutes. I actually prefer to just walk a golf, like go walk 9 holes, but I couldn't keep up my 4.4 mile per hour pace at that.
Word on the street has it is you have a growth in your mouth.
No, we don't know what that is. I think it's just some acid buildup. So
where have you been lately?
I think maybe one too many cigars.
Bad parts of town?
Not really. I'm not falling into that trap.
So So that's it for this week. Next week, we're going to be back with the 3-week Rust Buster Challenge, and that's a really bad name. But it's going to be like the drive chip putt contest, but we'll have 3 separate weeks, and we'll have some focus on there, and that'll help take you from the indoor to the outdoor and then onto the course. So we look forward to that next week. And there's going to be prizes, some fame, and guaranteed to get you ready for the season faster than ever before. And we'll also announce how you can enter yourself for the chance to win a year of Whataburger.
I got it right here. So
yeah, nice. How does that work, Rich? What is the prize exactly going to be?
They can get a burger, one or two a week for an entire year.
All right. So is a taquito included in that? Is it a Whataburger or a taquito?
No, it's an actual Whataburger. We've got some other ones that we'll launch down the road for breakfast items and stuff, but this one's going to be a Whataburger burger, one a week for a year.
And those are like $4 each. So that's pretty good value.
And if you're a senior, you get a free drink for a senior.
Nice. And I tell you, the Whataburger burgers are unbelievable. And I'm not just saying that because we're sponsored by Whataburger. I'm saying it because they use fresh ingredients. Their meat is a higher quality than you're going to find at other places. And didn't Joe tell you about the meat?
Oh, it's premium meat. That's why it's more. Sometimes their burgers are a little bit more expensive because of that. But so yeah, in the next week we'll have details on how to enter, and there'll be opportunities to double the entries by writing a review. But there's going to be ways. There's going to be a clue involved. So stay tuned. Next week we'll have the clue. But during the week on Facebook and even on our website and social media, we'll have a link to the actual entry form, and you'll have an opportunity to win the Whataburger for a year.
Awesome. And we hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we hope that the fart sounds didn't drive you away. And we also hope that you'll go and review us on iTunes and let us know what you think. So this is Chris and Rich, and thanks for joining us.